Hey everyone, welcome back to Boston Autoblog. Before the car season began, I did a couple of videos called Monday Morning Driver, where I'd bring up a topic and I'd ask what you guys think. I think that this video is going to be more like that. A couple of days ago, I read an article from Road and Track asking, how do we get the car enthusiasm up again? This person, the writer, was asking if crossovers were the way to go, such as creating performance crossovers. Now, a number of car brands have already done that. You had the Porsche Macan, the Jaguar F-Pace, the Maserati Levante, and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, along with the X5M from BMW. Now, I personally don't think that's the way to go to create a whole new generation of enthusiasm for the car community or just cars in general. Now, if you think about crossovers and you think about who buys them, you're mostly talking about families or someone who really does not want to drive or have fun. Now, putting in performance parts in a crossover is going to cost money, so it's not going to be a cheap thing. Look at where the prices are at right now. Just at a Toyota RAV4 or even a Honda CR-V, they're in the 20,000s. The problem isn't the cars that are being created right now. We don't blame crossovers or anything like that. The problem is the people themselves. You can't try getting people interested in cars or speed by just putting performance parts in an SUV or put it in a car that's not really what you would think as a fun track car or just a car that you would take to a Cars and Coffee event. If you really want to try getting a new generation of car enthusiasts, you have to give them options. Now, there are options out there. The problem is, I think a lot of the young people out there see Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, Honda Civic, and they think that that's the best way to go. That's what pretty much the car magazines are telling them. What do car magazines don't talk about, or what do just the media in general towards cars? What do they not talk about? They don't talk about the cars, the performance cars that are actually relatively cheap. Look at the Corvette C4. You can get one under $10,000. Chevrolet Camaro, third generation. You're looking at one around $10,000 to $15,000 for a clean one. Same with the same generation Pontiac Trans Am. I just think to more of American cars just because they're cheaper and easier to maintain. There are options out there. People don't have to buy a new Civic or a new Accord to get a car that maybe they'll enjoy. I don't see how you can enjoy one, but there's other options out there. Now, speaking for myself, had I known that those options were out there, I would have gotten something a lot more nicer, a lot more fun than what I have right now. Pretty much all I bought was just a nicer Honda Civic. So I can understand where the position is when it comes to people my age and what cars they want or cars that they might buy for their first car. Now, when you look at the price of a car such as a Honda or a Toyota, even a Ford, if they're going to buy it new, which there are some millennials who are doing that, take a look at the fun cars that are priced around $30,000 or below. Now, for under $30,000, you can go in a number of different directions. You have the E55 AMG, that's a four-door sedan. You have the SL55 AMG. You have the Ford Mustang. You have Chevrolet Corvette. You can get a C5 Z06 for under $30,000. You can get a C6. You can get a Chevrolet Camaro, a newer one. There are other options out there that that young people can actually buy. If you're actually, if you're going to try influencing the next generation or try getting car enthusiasm up and, get people in their 30s into liking them, you have to give them better options. And it's not from the brands, it's from, even from magazines. Start talking about cars that people would actually buy in their 30s. Now, the real problem is the fact that most people, when they get into their 30s, they have families. So you have to start looking at four-door sedans. Now, the Audi S4 is starting to drop in price. You can get one around, you can get like a 2013 at $30,000. The Mercedes-Benz C63, one of the first C63s, they're under $30,000 now. They're starting to. They're definitely in the low 30s. a Dodge Charger. You know, these cars are not expensive, relatively speaking, compared to what people are buying for crossovers. Now, I guess when you start thinking of crossovers, you think more along the lines of practicality, but really, you're not going to get practicality out of a performance crossover anyway. So, just the way I feel is that you can't influence people, or you can't get car enthusiasts just by putting in performance into a car that's not really performance at all. Such as people have been talking about the Honda Fit Si. Stop, please stop. These cars are not supposed to be like that. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people out there that are probably really excited, but I mean, just take a look at like the Honda Civic Type R. There's a lot of people out there that are really excited for that. Maybe that's the car that's going to get people, you know, younger people, maybe with families, back into the car scene. Crossovers are not going to do that, and I mean, it would make no sense for Toyota or a Honda to start putting performance packages in crossovers. It just doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, I really think it just comes down to options. You know, people need to do their research. You know, I didn't know that there were some really nice cars under $30,000. You know, look at the first few years of the BMW M6 from 2006, 2007, under $30,000. There have been a few clean ones with only 25,000 miles on them. That's like over 500 horsepower that you're getting with those cars. You know, there's other options out there that no one's talking about. No one's bringing up the fact that these cars are even out there. You know, only car enthusiasts would know that that's out there. Magazines are not doing that. You know, of course, you can't rely on magazines because they're trying to, you know, sell to as many people as possible. So, you know, people who want to, you know, who are just, you know, Honda Civic owners or Honda Civic or Honda Accord owners, you know, they'll pick up the magazine and read it, but they're looking, you know, they're not going to be looking at cars that are under $30,000 that are performance cars, and that's not what the magazines want. They just want readers. So that's something to think about as well. Continuing on with the car magazine bit, I've read a few articles from that have been posted on Facebook, and you know, these magazines bring up cars that could appreciate over the next few years, and what I've noticed is it's the cars that they're not talking about that are appreciating. So about 6 months ago, I read an article saying that the Corvette C5 would appreciate in value. I have not seen that. The only Corvette C5s that are retaining their value are the Z06s, which are still hovering around like $20,000 to $30,000. The C5s themselves are still around $15,000. You can still get them very cheap. Those are not really going to appreciate in value. You know, what's funny is that the Camaro from 98, like from 94 to 98, those are appreciating in value. Even the 2002s, those are appreciating. You know, 2 years ago, I wanted one. I looked at them, they were like very cheap. You can get one for like $7,000. Now you're looking at ones that are probably $8,000 more than that, especially for a clean one. And even for the ones that are not clean, they're priced around $10,000. So the Camaros are the ones that are appreciating in value, not the C5 Corvette. So, you know, I just think you've got to really pay attention to what's not being talked about. And that goes along with what I've been talking about, you know, earlier in this video, that crossovers are not going to be what's going to really bring the car enthusiast community, you know, and grow it. Now, I personally think the car community is growing by itself without the help of magazines and performance SUVs. You know, look at the families that show up to Cars and Coffees that are actually bringing cars. They're M5s, they're M4s, M3s, you know, Mercedes-Benz C63 sedans. They're not cars that are, you know, two doors. Well, I guess the M4 was a two door, but they're bringing cars. They're not bringing SUVs. So I think that, you know, families are finding ways around the issue, and I think that has a lot to do with more along the personal side and you know, them really thinking it through. I think each family is different, and I just think that it's all comes down to compromise and stuff like that. So, you know, even, you know, magazines and writers and journalists can speculate on what would save the car community, which personally I think is doing just fine on its own. Just look at the car events that are going on here, that, you know, we're getting so many people showing up and the great turnout. I think it's doing fine on its own, but if you're going to try growing the car community, you have to change the people themselves and make them think that, yes, buying a, you know, a sports car is practical, but I think that also comes down to you know, people with their, you know, their wages and their income. I don't think that you can change it by articles or by, you know, having, you know, crossovers that are now performance cars. That's not going to do anything. It comes down to other things as well. Continuing on with the appreciation topic, even look at the Porsche 996. All of a sudden, that's starting to rise a little bit. You could get one for under $20,000. Now it's getting hard. Now, it could be because it's summertime. Maybe people are buying them. And I think there was a stigma to them that, you know, most Porsche owners don't like them. But when you see them at $17,000, how can you not buy them? They're Porsche 911s, no matter what the Porsche enthusiast says. Now, the Porsche 997 is continuing to drop, and I think that's going to start getting into buying territory as well. You know, really, just look at the cars that are depreciating, because those are the cars that you're going to see a major turn in about a few years. The cars that everyone keeps talking about as being the ones that are appreciating in value, those aren't doing anything. Those are still dropping. So I just think you got to pay attention to the cars that are not being talked about, and really, you know, really look at great bargains that are out there. Even for me personally, I'm trying to position myself to pick up some of these cars before they appreciate. I really love the SL55 AMG, the ones from 2003, 2008. Those are still dropping in price, but those could be, you know, future classics. I love the design of the car, and because it looks like a mini SLR, it's very possible that that car could appreciate in value and be looked at as being one of those cars that, you know, that was great of our time, that it was like one of the classics of our time. So those are just one of the cars, that's one of the cars I look at, and there's a number of other cars that are definitely around that age and era that could definitely appreciate over time. I mean, wouldn't it be funny that in about, you know, 30 or 40 years, maybe when we're all, you know, 40 or 50 years old, we're bringing cars like the SL55 or the C63 or a number of the cars that are depreciating right now, and they're going to be, you know, future classics. And you're going to have like 12 and 13-year-old kids saying, why are they bringing those cars? They're old, but they're classics of our time. So guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I also want to know what you guys think. Do you think that crossovers are the way to get, you know, people into the car community? Or is it more along the lines of education? Educating people that there is a Corvette C5 for $15,000, that you can get a Porsche 911 for around $20,000. You know, whether they're old or new, or, you know, whether, you know, Porsche enthusiasts don't like them or anything like that, the fact of the matter is they can get people into the car community and really fall in love with cars. So I really want to know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope all you guys have a great day and take care.